I'm out here in the garden this evening with the intention of digging up some of these really nicely established Seaberry and moving them to our neighbor's lawn to establish some more food and medicine right next door to us. If you're interested in having some notes on what we've experienced around how Seaberry suckers and propagates and thicket forms and how you might be able to dig those up in order to move them, please stick around. This set of Seaberry has been in the garden since 2017, so this is their third year here. These were rooted with bottom heat when they were hardwood, so this was in March of 2017. I'll link here to talk about how we use bottom heat to help propagate these plants. But here they are a few years later, incredibly well established, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 that were here originally. This is definitely too close for them to be here, so my intention is to dig these all up. But Seaberry has done something pretty magical, which is very important to know about before you plant them. This is a very aggressive suckering form plant. I want to take a closer look and show you what I mean. It might be easy to think that these little shoots that are coming up are seedlings of Seaberry, but I can tell you for certain that these are actually shoots that have come off of a lateral root from the Seaberry. Very important to know this before you commit to where Seaberry grows, that it will very aggressively spread by runners in a garden. So if you dig or rototill or disturb soil, you can anticipate a whole lot more Seaberry. And so, for example, you can see here that that is not its own plant. It is actually shooting up from a shallow lateral root. We can use this to our advantage to propagate so many of these plants, but it's something to consider when you start to commit them in the landscape. So what I'm going to start with is digging up some shoots that are on the smaller side. Once they get very large, it's actually pretty difficult to move them, but I will go ahead and try to do that. But I thought it'd be interesting for folks to see what is actually going on under there. So I'm going to use my sharp nursery spade. It's the king of spades, and I can anticipate that this, or I can read that this fat lateral goes back to these mother plants. And so if I were to cut right around here, I'm pretty confident that I will get that root. And now I can go in and do a little prying work. And you can see, well, I did some damage, but Seaberry is a tough being. And you'll see that it's a shallow but very aggressive runner here. That ripped, so I'll trim that off. And now we've got some craziness going on. You can see the nitrogen fixing nodules showing how powerful of a soil building plant this is. They get way bigger. I've seen them almost the size of golf balls. And what we have from this lateral runner with all of these strange shoots are a number of propagules that can be either potted up, moved to another nursery bed, or set out into a field if we've got good mulch. So I can cut here. Now that's one strangely formed but very viable spring transplant. I can cut here where we've got these strong new shoots and a nice root system, and this last piece is ready as it is. Now for the field, I might skip these. These are a little small. I might move these to a nursery bed and give them a season to size up. This friend I'll set aside and get ready to plant out. There's even more with some shoots on them. These will move to a nursery bed. Pretty amazing form of this plant. I'm gonna dig some more of these out. The smaller ones are definitely a lot easier to get, but ultimately I think I actually need to dig everyone out here. If your soil is really soft, you can see I was a little rough there and it broke, but again, Seaberry is so rugged that as long as you're not completely ripping everything, you can get under these laterals and get a lot of plant material. Here's more. Let me cut there. And again, that same exact picture, dominant lateral with a new shoot coming up. Cut this on either side and you've got a viable plant to work with. Sasha will take the dandelions for the kitchen. Definitely pretty rough and rugged, and a lot of root ripping and cutting and all that. But we've got plant material here. These are absolutely ready for the field. Now you might say, well, it looks like a low ratio of root to top. I think they'll be fine. They're hardy that way. So this one should be fine too, as long as it's going into nice moist soil and we put some mulch on top. If you're in doubt, then cut the top back really hard and cut those up and put them on bottom heat. You might get another 20 copies of your plant that way. I wouldn't sell a plant like this with such low root to top ratio, but I certainly would plant this out to the field. So far we've got around 25 or so small pieces that I can trim up and put into nursery beds, little pieces like this. And we've got at least 3 or 4 that are ready to go out to the field. And I haven't even gotten into the large plants here. So this is a plant that suckers in thicket forms like an absolute beast. It's wonderful, and it's something to be careful about. If you're going to use a rototiller or a shovel in your garden near Seaberry, expect it to sucker and be ready to take those photocopies and move them out to new places. It might seem like I'm being really rough or really coarse or maybe even mean the way I plant these. I hope that doesn't come across that way, but if it does, it's not my intention at all to be rough with these plants. I think very loving thoughts while I'm planting them. I'll come back through with some nice mulch, some compost, some TLC, and some gentle whispers later on, but for now I just want to get them in the ground. They're in. If we had really heavy winds as they leafed out, there's a possibility of them falling over. But what I'm going to do in the short run here is muck out some of these drainage channels that have been set in motion. There's a bunch of really rich silt in here that needs to get dug out anyway, and I'll use that to bank up and around each of these planting holes. So I'll build a berm around each of these and press out the water as I do, kind of giving them each their own minor bump. But Seaberry is incredibly adaptable, so I might get to that this evening, or I might deal with the little cuttings this evening. But there they are, they're in the soil, ready to grow. Thanks for watching.